was naked.
J.A.U.G.E, you be you. We love you.
And I said, if you had this booty, you be naked too. Come on.
Speaking of people who think that they are the prize and think that beauty, it's all about beauty. Oh, in this case, it's all about booty. God damn it. Hell, this one right here, this is a habitual offender that has hit the wall, and she has no idea what to do with herself. She don't even think she's hit the wall. She still thinks she's in her prime.
I should take pictures like that. Why is she always dressed that way? Why is she dressed that way? Why don't she dress her age? I was like, huh? What? Why is she always naked?
J.A.U.G.E, you be you. We love you.
And I said, if you had this booty, you be naked too. Come on.
Do you think you've truly been loved?
No.
No. And do you think you really have experienced loving someone?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah.
And when you can't get that love back?
What I learned, it's not that I'm not lovable. It's that they're not capable.
They can't love.
They don't have it in them. They need to appreciate the little person inside of them.
They have little
need to love
give.
them. Yeah.
You've been in a relationship with
And
people.
they gave me what they had.
Right, but
They
it's not
gave me
enough.
all of it. Every time.
But it's this much. It's
All the
little bit.
rings, all the things I could ever want.
Right.
They tried to give me the houses, the rings, the marriage, all of it. But
They didn't love you
they didn't,
and didn't know you.
and I didn't love myself.
Excuse me, I love your outfit.
Thank you.
What do you do for a living?
What?
What do you do for a living? I spoke positivity and kind
And a singer.
A singer?
Entertainer.
What's your name? Really?
About,
What do you like about your job?
what do I like about it?
That last one was priceless. That last video was priceless. And I thought he might have been trolling. I don't know. But I thought that was the perfect end to that particular video collage, because I believe that the reason for the first video is a direct result of the last video. We talk about hitting the wall when you're a woman and you're so beautiful and you have so many accolades and everybody's just sweating you or whatever the case may be. You hit a certain age and it's just not hitting like that no more. This guy really said he didn't know who she was.
Lights.
What
If
you
you
got,
think
Bobby?
you're lonely now, wait until tonight.
Hey!
Woo.
Bruh,
It just got 10 degrees colder here, bro.
man, that shit was cold. Ooh,
Woo.
ooh, that had to leave a mark. You see the look on her face
No,
when he
no,
said
I was
that
about to-
shit?
No, I genuinely don't think if he slapped her pimp style in the mouth with the baby powder, I don't think it could have stung her harder than that did. Boy, the
Ooh.
look on her face.
Ooh, ooh,
Woo.
it did.
What you mean you don't know who is? I'm a singer.
Right.
You're a singer? Yeah, what's your name?
Come on, come on,
Lord. Look, I was offended for her.
bruh.
I was
my
offended
God.
for her. I'm serious. I really was.
But she don't look like herself right there. She looked like a shell of herself. And she, you know, the most important part of that video collage is that second video to me. You know what I'm saying? Because again, she blamed everybody else but her. All those men, J-Lo, goddamn, you got a damn football team. The whole 54 roster, you dig? Whole 54 man roster that you done been with. None of them were capable. Come on, bruh. At some point, you had to start looking at yourself. You understand? And that's not to say that it can't also be some of the men as well, because men are not perfect. Okay, we can say, okay, maybe some of the men, they were flawed in some things or whatever the case. But when you keep doing the same thing and have the exact same result, this woman got more rings than goddamn Thanos, bruh. And she still ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not, it ain't shaking. Ain't nothing ever shaking with this woman. And she continually blames the game. It ain't the game, it's you. And then she gets on stage and, you know, people are rightfully saying to her, damn, you almost 60 years old. You still run around naked? People say, why do you dress this way? You're too old to be dressing this way. Yes, no one should have to tell you that. That's the problem. I don't think these women realize, like, yo, a lot of the time when they complain about all these things, they tell on themselves right then and there when they're speaking. The very thing you always run around half naked, over sexualizing yourself, that's not very appealing to a quality man and what he looks for in a wife. What do you not understand about that? I don't know, bro. My head exploded when I saw that. What you saying, Ann? What's up, man? Am I tripping?
No. When we talk about terms of it, it's hyper competitiveness women.
Yeah.
So when you talk about hyper competitiveness women, these are women that have jealousy and envy and always in competition with their mate, their man, and they have a bunch of insecurities. There's so many different factors of it, but the bottom line is that they're not happy within themselves, and that's why she said that. She was talking to Howard Stern, which I thought was very interesting to have a conversation with Howard Stern, but she if you know Howard Stern from back in the day, that's a weird mix. But yeah, if you know, right? So when she was talking about it, and then at the end she said, "Yeah, I wasn't really in love with myself either. They were giving me everything that I needed, but I really wasn't in love with myself." That came out at the end, and that showed the truth of what it was. This is why we tell men all the time, and shout out to some sisters, because there are some therapists out there that are telling women, a man is not there to make you happy. They don't control your happiness. You have to seek your happiness on your own. They might add to your happiness, but your source of happiness needs to come from within yourself. And I think a lot of these women are trying to get their happiness from men, and it's just not working. And with the men that's trying to give them all these things to be happy, you're only burning yourself out in the process, man. Find you a woman that is healed and whole. When you look at J.Lo, right? And it goes back to what I said the first go round when we talked about this on the air. When you look at these women that complaining a lot, look at their relationship status. Like she had Ben Affleck. Not only did she divorce the man, she went back and remarried the man, and then they got divorced. Like the second time was even a fast divorce. So I'm like, what the fuck? That felt like to me when a player has been at the end of his prime and he started with a team, but he's on 4 other different teams, and now they say, hey, you know what? We really just want you to sign for a year just to fucking close out with this team, and we can hang your banner up, and at least you left with the franchise you started with. That's what I felt like.
Yeah,
that's what I felt like that divorce was about. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at that and you look at the P. Diddy, you remember she was running around with P. Diddy. P. Diddy was smashing her. Then how she came up with In Living Color, being what do you call it? Little dance girl. What they call
Fly girl,
yeah. Fly girl. You know what I'm saying? And we know back in the day, I'm gonna say allegedly, we are told that a lot of the dancers back in the day, women back in those days, had to do a little something to come up. You know what I'm saying? Even Madonna's backstory was about that as well. So when you look at the process that she's going through, there is no stability throughout that whole process. And you don't see nothing about her father. She never mentions her father. I've never seen her mention anything about her father. No fatherly structure and anything like that. So you got a woman, when they don't really highlight anything about their father, they don't really have a sense of knowing truly what a man's role is and what a man is supposed to look like, because they never had a good example. So your first example of a man really molds you to think that that's what love is. So if you come off of a woman don't have a stable sight of what a real man looks like or is supposed to act like, the minute you get with that one guy and now he molds your whole presence of what you think that a real man is like, he could be love bombing you and doing all of these toxic shit. Now you have that as your poster child, your mold, and now every man is supposed to line up like that because that's what you think real love is. And all you're doing is hopping from toxic men to toxic men and wondering why you're having these problems. And I'll land my plane on that.
Never taking the time to heal, you know, like you said, engaging in this hyper competitiveness among women, you know, and you know, it shows, man. This is a very unhealed woman, a very bitter woman. She still looks good for her age, you know what I'm saying? And she's getting probably a lot of attention that some women have her age don't get, but they don't factor in the fact that you know you're an older woman. What if you meet a good quality man? He may really like you. He may have a nostalgic crush on you, whatever the case may be, but he wants children. You can't give him no kids. You understand? I mean, they don't think about these things. You know, not only that, you know, a lot of men will marry younger women because they feel they're going to enjoy their beauty for a longer span of time. You understand? And a lot of times the beauty is part of the attraction, you know, because the younger beauty, that beauty at 24 don't hit the same as it does at 44. I don't give a damn how good you look. Ladies, you know, stop listening to these old birds because there's quite a few of them that'll come out here and tell you to squander your 20s. Man, nothing gets me more furious than when I hear a woman say that, especially an older woman. Because 90% of the time, 90 to 95% of the time, the women that say that dumb shit to you, they're either unwed or underwed. We're going to do a whole show about what it means to be underwed. You understand? You're married to some sorry ass nigga that don't do nothing, that don't, you know, don't move the bar, whatever the case may be, and you're setting a trap for these younger women. You know, when you're younger is when you should be out here trying to marry, when you should be out here trying to find a serious relationship. You know, there's a video on our page. I'm going to find it and put it up again this week. You know, in white society, they have a saying called ring by spring. You know what that means? That means that by the spring of when you graduate college, in white society, they expect you as a female to have a wedding ring, to have a proposal. And you got these bird-ass females out here telling our young sisters, oh, go out here and twerk off your 20s. What does that build? What type of security is that? You know, because they never say be abstinent throughout your 20s. You understand what I'm saying? They say go out there, have fun, basically play the field. So you're telling the girls to do the same thing that you tell the boys to do, which I don't advocate for either group. But how does that translate from a woman? Because women are constantly getting sexual access, constantly getting guys trying to screw them. So you end up with kids before you're even 30. And then you turn around, you want to be mad when you're in your early 30s when people don't want to date you because they feel like you're damaged goods because you got kids. Whole other show. But I'm just saying, like, the dynamic is crazy. Go ahead, Bobby, real quick. What you got?
It's also interesting to hear her talk about all the things that men have done for her. And because, again, it'd be one thing if other people were putting words in her mouth. She condemned herself out of her own mouth.
Yeah.
She said that she felt like she's never been loved. She said that these men gave her everything they had. So according to her, not Howard Stern, nobody else, these men gave her the best of themselves. And according to her, it wasn't enough. That's so wild. She chose I don't care what kind of level of fame or superstardom she's reached or how many platinum records she's sold, how many tours she sold out, all the accolades. The hell with that. You take all that BS away the same way how dude didn't recognize her when she was out in the street. You are a flawed, imperfect human being. And for you to sit there and to acknowledge you have had not one, not two, but several mates who, again, in your own words, gave you everything. They gave you the 100%. And the 100% of another perfectly flawed, imperfect person like yourself given to you was not enough for you. Wow. That doesn't say anything bad about those men. That says everything bad about you. There's this concept called the hedonic treadmill. The hedonic treadmill. I don't know how many people are familiar with it, but it's one that's very important to understand, especially when we're having these relationship concepts, because this applies across the board. This is not limited to relationships. But when you apply this concept, this universal concept to relationships, it makes a lot of the things that we're seeing make more sense, but also drives how dangerous this is. In brass tacks, layman's terms, picture like this. This is what the hedonic treadmill is. So let's say you're a kid. When you're a kid, the brand new iPhone comes out. And you really want this iPhone so bad, you know, the phone you have, it's okay, but you really want this iPhone. So you beg and plead, you beg and plead, you beg and plead, and your parents finally go ahead and get you the new iPhone. Yay! I have the iPhone! Yay! You're happy over the moon. You're happy as a pig rolling in fresh shit. You are the top of elation. And so you're happy. You know, you're going everywhere. You got a big old smile on your face, bulletproof mood. Nothing can take you down. But what happens is over time, eventually, that level of happiness that you're at, it goes down and down and down and down and down until it gets back to more average, normal levels. And all that joy and elation that you had when you got the phone, it's gone. And now the next thing comes along is, oh, I really, really want this. Please, it's going to make me so happy. Please, 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 I got to get it. You get the next big thing. Yay! You're up here again, happy, 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 and eventually it goes back down. This is what is known as the hedonic treadmill. In other words, there is no such thing as a permanent level of happiness. And this is important to understand, and they believe that this is an evolutionary trait that we developed for survival purposes, so that way it didn't cause us to, right there, so that way this allowed us to adapt to our circumstances so we were able to survive. But what it ultimately means is that we are not able to buy our way to permanent happiness, or rather, we are not going to get to a permanent state of happiness from things that come from outside of ourselves. I get so, for me, it's an automatic red flag, and this should be this way for any man, women too, but I see women do this more than anyone else. When you see people talk about their goal in life is to be happy. I want to be happy. My goal is to be happy. That's my dream. For this year, I really want to be happy. Happiness is as simple as a decision. Just decide right now, I want to be happy. You're happy. That's literally all it is. You choose to be happy. You can control your mind. You can control what kind of day you're going to have. You're going to have a soggy day or a positive day. That is entirely up to you. But if you're depending on external things, whether you have a man or not, have a woman or not, have a big job, whatever, that is nothing more than masturbation. You're going to get off. You're going to be super happy, but it's going to wear off. That's why when you look inward and you develop your internal attributes, you work on making yourself a better person. And the things you get pleasure from outside of yourself come from helping others. You're feeding the homeless. You're donating. You're being charitable. You're helping improve your people and build up your society around you. Those are things that will never run dry because you're never going to have a shortage of people to help and assist. And there's always room for self-improvement. Those are things that will not only keep your happiness in an elevated state, but it'll also make you a better person overall.
Well said.
Contentment is the aim. Be satisfied, not seeking happiness.
Oh, very well said. And here's the textbook definition for all those that don't know. What Bobby was just talking about, the hedonic treadmill is the psychological tendency of humans to quickly return to a relatively stable baseline level of happiness despite major positive or negative life changes or accomplishments. It suggests that as individuals gain more wealth of success, their expectations and desires rise in tandem, resulting in no permanent gain in happiness. That is a very dangerous thing and a very dangerous way of thinking, because as you just pointed out, Bobby, you're never satisfied. You'll never be happy. Is always that next thing that you're chasing. I was just talking with my wife about this last night too. Contentment. People don't understand, especially Christians, people who are supposedly Christian. They're always talking about this Bible and they miss half the lessons that are in the Bible. The Bible talks in detail about contentment. And that's what it sounds like J-Lo's issue is. She doesn't have any concept of contentment. You know, you're never going to make her happy.
At some point, enough simply has to be enough.
Facts.
There has to be an end.
That was an extraordinary comparison there. That you hit the nail on the head with this one. That is exactly where she's at with it, man. It's sad to see, especially at her big age. You know, again, we're talking about hitting the wall. All these women we're talking about today are post-wall. And for all this life experience and all these dudes that done ran through them, you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't seem like they learned a damn thing. Bruh, when you 50-something and you still don't have a damn clue, what do you do? Manversations 2020.